There's hardly an English speaker in Israel who isn't familiar with Dry Bones, the Jerusalem Post political cartoon strip that has been published daily since 1973 and has also often been reprinted in the likes of the New York Times, Forbes, and Time magazine. Dry Bones is the love child of Kirschen, who doesn't only want to make his readers laugh, but also think and act. However, for these goals to be achieved, Kirschen believes that the position of the cartoonist himself must change from a so-called impartial observer who hides his personal biases to an informed and informing journalist and active advocate of freedom, not only freedom of speech. We are very happy to be joined in studio by Dry Bones cartoonist, maker, father, and the founder of the Dry Bones Academy of Cartoon Advocacy, Yaakov Dry Bones Kirschen.
Hey there. Good morning.
What are we doing wrong when it comes to cartoons?
Okay, what we're doing wrong is we are in a cartoon war. Civilization is in a cartoon war. And there are two parts to that. That is the part that is anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, anti-Christian, okay? These cartoonists are doing cartoons that attack us. Now, our cartoonists, Western cartoonists, whether they are Israeli or American or British, we are trained to be self-critical. So what does an Israeli cartoonist or an English cartoonist or an American cartoonist do? What he does is to criticize, do self-criticism. So an Israeli cartoonist writes about everything that's wrong in Israel.
Right.
A cartoonist in Texas writes about everything that's wrong in Texas. So we are in a war in which the other side attacks us and our side attacks us. This is stupid.
What should we do?
What we need to do is we need to recognize that there is no such thing as journalistic impartiality.
Amen.
Okay, so...
Because it's against human nature, because people have opinions.
No reporter is impartial. If they are working for the New York Times, if they are working for the BBC, they are working for organizations that are paying them to communicate messages.
And a certain agenda or a certain ideology.
Right. So those of us who look for impartiality are being stupid. Right? And so we complain and we say, hey, that's not fair. Well, it's not that it's not fair, it's part of their agenda. And therefore, we need to develop our cartoonists to understand that our cartoonists have to have an agenda. Our cartoonists are warriors in a war. This is a new reality for cartoonists. What's happening now is people go online, they look up Israel, they look up Italy, they look up the Pope, whatever they do, and they see individual items. The cartoon has been freed from the newspaper, and distribution is based on the reader. A reader who sees that cartoon and says, gee, that should get out, shares and likes.
The user, so to speak. Rather, we've become users rather than readers, and it does affect your profession. I want to touch specifically, though, about your cartoons and make the point that you're making through them. And I'd love to start with today's Jerusalem Post cartoon, in which you're portraying, this is Abbas and the Pope, the meeting over the weekend. And we're taking a look at this cartoon right now.
Angel of Peace.
Angel of Peace. The
Yes.
Pope is willing to give Jerusalem to the Muslims in hopes of keeping Rome for a little while longer. Okay. Break it down for me.
Okay. The new function of cartoons today, advocacy cartoons, is not just to comment on something, it is also to inform, because the average consumer of news is not necessarily going to know that the Pope made this statement.
True, but that said,
So therefore, the cartoon must communicate the news item and comment on it.
But you are also communicating in this specific cartoon your interpretation of that bit of news. People would argue from the other side.
Of course, because my cartoon, like any cartoonist, is advocating something.
Because
I have an
you're part of
agenda. It is my personal agenda. I am a Zionist. I look at the world in a certain way, and I do not hide that. The question is one of honesty. Anyone who's reading Dry Bones knows I have an agenda. My agenda is I support the existence of the Jewish state. I support the idea of Jews coming to live in the Jewish state. I oppose the ignoring of the Holocaust of Christians, whether it's in North Africa and Nigeria or whether it's in Syria. Those are the things that I am for. And when I do a cartoon, I am communicating a piece of news that should be known and may not be known, and giving a comment on it. A cartoon that offends someone is a bad cartoon. Yeah. And cartoonists are used to saying, well, I got them. I stuck it to them. That's not what a cartoon should be. A cartoon should use humor and intelligence to slide under people's defense mechanism. My goal is to reach my enemy. I want the people who disagree with me to laugh, and in that moment, they are agreeing with me.
Listen, it's a fabulous agenda, Yaakov Drybones Kirschen. I wanted to quickly say that it is the Academy, the founder of the Dry Bones Academy of Cartoon Advocacy, who are also advocating for cartoons and whatnot to be also part of journalism schools, which I think is a fabulous idea.